Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
July 5th, Ukraine update. Fireworks lit the sky in America. Missiles lit the sky in Ukraine. On July 4th, Russia bombarded Ukrainian cities for 8 hours straight. As Trump halted air defense deliveries and then called Putin, who vowed to keep killing. How do you claim to want peace while stripping away the only defense that stops the killing? Ukraine got no warning, no protection, just an open runway for terror. This wasn't leadership, it was permission. You're watching Ukraine Update with the Shills, where Russian propaganda gets wrecked, fascists get roasted, and freedom always drops the mic. I'm Slavie, your co-host. Let's say hello to the host of the Shills. Hi, Dick. How's it going?
It's going well. There's been times on the Shills channel when we've done Canada Day streams. We didn't really do that this year. And we've done 4th of the July streams. And sorry, there was no way we were doing that this year. Again, I always want to say, this will be quick. As it pertains to actions of the American government, specifically the MAGA stronghold in the Republicans. When we speak of American actions, we are speaking of them, not every one of you showing up to the protests and making your voice heard. We are speaking about the tyranny, not the average American.
Absolutely. Yes. And today we have Commander McMillan with us. How's it going?
Going great.
Did you guys do
boring 4th of July?
I was just going to ask, did you bother doing anything, or was it a stay home day with the,
Went over to my son's house, had a barbecue with him, and then got home before all the fireworks started and tried to keep the dogs calm.
Yeah.
Same here. I was just with my dog, and it got me thinking, all these fireworks, they were going on for like an hour and a half straight. And it was scary too. And I was thinking, in Ukraine, these sounds, these fireworks are trying to kill you.
Yeah.
That was frightening.
And remember that with Trump's tariffs, all those fireworks that people are shooting off cost about 30 to 40% more than they did last year.
Yeah.
I mean, fireworks are illegal though, right?
No,
No?
Depends. I mean, my area, they are legal for just the 4th of July. You can't set them off before or after, but
New
you
Year's.
always hear people setting them off. But
Yeah.
on 4th of July, it's legal. You can fire away.
My neighborhood is Latin predominantly, and they love their fireworks here.
Oh, yeah.
They get them from Mexico and popping them off. If
Definitely.
anything, it felt a little bit like they were going against the current regime.
Yeah. But I really have respect for somebody of Hispanic descent. I'm not sure which popular word I'm supposed to use, but you know what I mean. Celebrating on the 4th of July because they still see and feel the inherent good of what America should actually be. Right? They're not letting that be killed by Trump and the ICE raids.
Oh, absolutely. I think people are still celebrating freedom and what America essentially stands for. That was for sure felt and celebrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good. You know, I agree with that because if you lose sight of what it's supposed to be, do you then have enough passion to fight to get it back?
Exactly. Most important thing, don't let them take away that energy and that joy,
Yeah.
what you see in America. Because that's what they want.
Yeah. So, I guess we have like everything revolves around Hegseth, Trump, the halt of deliveries, and then Russia responding to that instantly with intensified attacks. That's kind of huge. You know, we've
According
commented.
I was going to say, according to International Institute for the Study of Warfare, yesterday was the largest set of Russian missile and drone attacks since the start of the war.
Yeah. And I've heard that said a couple of times over the last little while. Like they've upped it a couple of times lately as well. You know, we've spoke of it a few times around here, Commander Slavie. The Trump and Hegseth do the pause, and instantly there's this heavier barrage. Like it almost sounds like they knew it was coming.
Yeah, just like I say, Putin escalates, Russia escalates when we stop helping Ukraine.
Yeah.
They de-escalate when we help Ukraine.
They were ready and waiting for it. Whether they actually knew, I know that's a bit conspiracy-like, so you know, but they were ready.
You need to realize that the announcement that the missiles were turned, away at the last moment.
Yeah.
That doesn't impact Ukraine at that moment. It's that those are replacement missiles that would be in Ukrainian hands at the operational, launchers, probably in 2 to 3 weeks. So finding out that, they're not delivering these and launching a massive attack doesn't mean the Ukrainian air defenses aren't as prepared now as they were before the announcement.
Right. But
it's 2 or 3 weeks from now when that will have an impact.
But with that announcement, does Ukraine's defenses instantly start to have to make really hard decisions in case this munitions they have has to last a bit longer than it should?
That's a hard thing to predict. I think one of the key items is to note that the stuff that the U.S. is giving Ukraine for air defense that's the most critical are the Patriot missiles. And that's the missile that is or the anti-missile, if you will,
right,
that's capable of shooting down the Iskanders and the other special hypersonics and such that the Russians are using. Shooting down the close to 400 or something Shaheds that were employed last night, the Patriot doesn't get used against those. That's just standard anti-aircraft fire. You can shoot at it with a machine gun and take it out.
Okay. So, I had a follow-up to that, anticipating where you were going to go, but I listened too hard and forgot my follow-up.
I think some of it got stopped in Poland.
Yeah.
So it was just
No, it was literally in the air being flown into Poland, and they directed the aircraft transporting the Patriot missiles to redirect, not to Poland, but to bring them home, basically.
Wow. Commander, what's your take on the shortage? Do you support the claim that they had to stop this due to a shortage? And does that maybe, if it's not just excuses to mess with people because they seem to do this at times, does this allude to the fact that they expect more actions and maybe reactions, and they're needing it? Like, you know,
I'll say it this way. I think there is some emphasis on some validity to the claim that by giving Ukraine all of these advanced systems, which are still frontline material for our forces, that US/NATO forces will be under-equipped should something happen.
you think this relates to Israel at all?
Possibly, but I'm dubious. But it's definitely a possibility. We know that the Trump regime has very close ties with Israel and Netanyahu. So I could easily see that, Trump gets word that, 30 Patriot missiles are about to be delivered to Ukraine. What? No, those are needed in Israel. Send them to Israel. I could see something like that happening.
I saw
But
that
it requires Donnie to actually wake up during a briefing and realize that somebody said, 30 missiles are about to be delivered.
Right.
saw that the stockpile that was in Poland that got stopped, that was kind of a refill for what was supposed to come to Ukraine but went to Israel. So now what was in Poland, that was kind of to make up for that, and they stopped that as well.
Yep. And I think it's worth noting that it's not just the US whose stockpiles will be affected. We know that some of the NATO countries,
Germany,
have been donating Patriot missiles to Ukraine. So their stockpiles are low as well. And when you get all these reports of Russian troops massing on the Baltic borders, Russian troops conducting big exercises inside Belarus next to the Polish border, that kind of thing, it's easy to understand that possibly some of the NATO governments contacted the US and were nervous and said, hey, we need an emergency resupply of Patriot missiles.
Is there a part of the game in this, Commander, where you could see Russia doing these exercises simply to get this result? Hold on, let's pull back.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It sounds logical to me, 100%.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of people have been predicting that, Putin's going to expand the war by attacking Poland and or the Baltic countries and or Finland or, whatever he can reach. I think those predictions are foolish for the simple reason that Russia's already got most of its military committed in Ukraine. So, yeah, they have some other troops that they can mass and drill along borders and make people nervous. But to expand the war out to the point where you get all of NATO involved, it's, you have to be really stupid if you're Putin to pull something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the Ukraine thing did not work out for Putin the way that the Warsaw Holiday did for other people back in history, right? This is,
So it's one of those situations where you have to kind of guess what's going on in Putin's mind and his advisors, how they see things and what they're telling him. And that's one of the advisors is another part of the issue, because it's the same thing with Trump, that with Trump, we know that whoever's the last guy to speak during the briefing, that's what Trump remembers.
Yeah.
He doesn't read the briefing sheets. He doesn't pay attention to the PowerPoint presentation. It's whoever talks to him last, basically, that's what he remembers.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Putin's the same way, but the trouble is Putin has, through repeated purges of his advisors, both window diseases and simply, you're relieved of your duties and we're sending you out to run the weather station in Kamchatka or something. He's basically created a crop of yes men. So they're all waiting on tenterhooks to hear, this is what Putin thinks. And they'll go, oh, yes, boss, that's the greatest idea I've heard in my entire life. Yeah. Because they know that saying, possibly, boss, that's not a good idea, is a quick way to, go away.
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah. So it's really hard to predict what's going on both sides of that equation. What's Putin doing based on what people are willing to risk telling him the truth on, and who's the person that was the last one in the room with Trump today. And that's what Trump decides. So it's entirely possible, in fact, I would argue probable, that the decision to recall the Patriots en route was somebody at the briefing on Thursday afternoon saying, hey, and we've got Patriots being delivered to Ukraine. Those are really needed by fill in the blank here.
Right.
And that's what he walked out of the meeting, and he turned to Hegseth and says, hey, I want you to recall those Patriots and redirect them to Israel or Poland or whoever.
Right.
So, yeah, it's on both sides of the equation. It's a random probability cloud.
Right.
Also, Zelensky gave everything that Trump wanted, and including the minerals deal.
Oh, yeah.
And now on the front lines, it seems like Russia has one of the biggest lithium reserves now that they're occupied. What was the minerals deal for? What was this
exactly
whatever Trump wanted? Oh, you want a ceasefire? Okay, Trump, we'll do it.
Yeah, Trump steps in like big bravado. Sorry, Sakai, we'll get you on in a second here. And does all this. They got to sign the bill, yada yada, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
All I can say is every time his mouth opens, it's bullshit.
Yeah. And recently they did speak with Zelensky on the phone after July attack. And we're going through the same thing again. Okay, we'll see what we can do with the Patriot missiles.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, it's also 155 millimeter shells as well that they stopped.
Right.
500 rounds.
Right.
155 that was in that, and a bunch of other stuff too.
Sorry there. I just realized that Sakai's audio's been blocked. So even if you tried to say hello, we haven't heard you yet, dude. No wonder.
Oh,
sorry.
No, I
was his mother dresses him funny.
Yeah. Okay. So we should. Hello, Sakai. How's it going?
Hey, not bad. I finished up a stream earlier and just thought I'd pop in and join you guys today if that's cool.
Cool. Yeah, how's stream going? What's the viewer response? Do you find yourself like we find ourselves fighting the algorithm because YouTube seems to want to bury Ukraine unless you're like the big clickbaity 12-minute video person?
Oh, always, unfortunately. But I mean, that's just kind of the way it's been since I've been doing this, and
Yeah.
for me personally, and but my fundraisers are going all right. Getting a couple of
Cool.
those filled for 3D printers, stuff to help soldiers, stuff like that, and I've been doing a bunch of stuff off of YouTube. So there's always more stuff to do.
Yeah. Cool. So, Slavie, where do you think? Where are we off to next? Should we do a few shout outs here? There's a few I've got in the bank.
Let's do it. Then maybe some questions.
Yeah. So I've got a direct PayPal donation in, I think it was $20 something, because I got 22.70 Canadian, and it's a name that I recognize for sure, but I'm not sure if it's one that I can actually share out, or should I remember their YouTube username? So let me know in the live chat if I can use the name or not, because I don't want to do that to people. But here's the message itself. Use wherever needed. I'm sticking with Ukraine, no matter what my so-called government does. Yeah, baby. Good call. I'm pretty sure I can use this name, but I just don't want to do that just in case. So let me know. Tag me in the chat there. Tag at the Shills. And then we're good. Just Jimmy became Shill's apprentice. Love it. Thank you very much. Paul Deberitz came in and gifted out 5 Shills memberships. Love it. Niles Knudsen comes in and gifts out 10 Shills memberships. I think we're in some kind of competition here. And then, Carl Jacobson comes in as a member, renewing for the month. And because of that, I can tell you it was Carl Jacobson with the $22 direct donation there. See how that works? It all came together, but I just didn't want to, spill the beans on somebody's real name, just in case he's wanted and he's working underground to help those in need. And maybe if you're lucky and you can find him, you can help and hire Carl Jacobson. It's just A-team thing. but hey, thanks everybody. Very cool. Love the support. Very cool indeed. There might be even questions already. So here. Oh, so go ahead, Slavie, please.
First question is from Nikki Hill. And did you get the painting of Starsky posted on the auction site?
Sadly, we haven't figured that out, but Rick and I did make sure that we know we're about to connect in the future. And we're literally like a day and a half away from that being a reality. So absolutely. There was a question here from It Wasn't Me, for myself. Even though I'm not exactly a guest host, it says, can you tell us more about the effects of boycotting U.S. stuff? There's not really any reports about that in It Wasn't Me's country. Well, number one, there's this thing right now that's massive all over Canada. And if it's made in Canada or manufactured in Canada, there's 2 different maple leaf symbols on the shelf. And you can seriously see American brands sitting there and Canadian brands cycling off the shelves. And you can see that it took the store owners a bit to get the rotation right. And everybody that in Canada, at least the people in my area that I know, everybody was totally cool about it. No worries, I'll check back tomorrow. And because we understood it, totally threw them for a loop, right? And one thing I think there's a long-term effect to this that maybe Ronald Gump himself didn't quite think of, but when you start messing with food palettes and you start making people to make a new choice on a staple they've usually bought and loved, guess what happens, dipshit? They start to like the new version as much as they did the other one. And what you've actually done is create a whole bunch of Canadians that no longer have a true taste for that American product we used to always buy. So well done, son. You've done that about as well as you've raised your children, you fucking dolt.
Undermine brand loyalty.
Exactly.
What a brilliant concept.
Yeah. You it's just.
So I think it's safe to say that if Putin is going to go down as one of history's worst strategists. Trump is going to go down as one of history's worst business entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
All his businesses failed. So
Oh, yeah.
Didn't they bankrupt a casino?
A couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. They basically set Atlantic City back about 10 years financially, man.
it's art of the deal. It's art of the deal, guys.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how
But
many people in the company you screw over by claiming bankruptcy, as long as it doesn't affect you personally as the gumph, you're all right.
Yeah. It occurs to me that this is kind of a pattern, because I remember people talking about W, saying he's literally the only person who was involved in the oil boom in Texas who lost money.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
You know,
it was literally, if you were in the oil business in Texas back then, it was like having your own printing press for cash down in your basement.
Yeah.
And that buffoon lost money.
Yeah, exactly. You know, even still, there's a classic clip of Barbara Walters interviewing Ronald Gumpf, and she's questioning him about buying Trump Tower because it was unanimously declared a bad deal when he bought it. And so she was interviewing him just after, and he was like, well, in the beginning, everybody said it was such a bad deal, but now everybody says, oh, what a great deal. What a great thing. And she just looks him square in the eye and she says, no, they don't. And I miss that girl in the news, man. But it was true. And even now, the Chicago one, they built all this real estate or retail space in it, and it has sat empty for about 10 years since it was built. Nobody wants to be in there. You know, it's hilarious. I wouldn't doubt that without foreign influence money, the way he's grifting it now with his meme coin and all this other crap and whatnot, most of his businesses wouldn't actually survive. He doesn't seem to be able to do anything right.
No, I think he's the kind of Nepo baby, a very old Nepo baby, the kind of person who's had everything handed to him. If it weren't for other people propping him up and the fact that he's got an unlikable enough personality that he's almost like sugar water to mosquitoes or hummingbirds for some of the worst personalities in modern day America.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good at scamming people, but that's unintentional just because.
No, hold on. I agree with what you said, but he's good at scamming either rich people that want influence or not very intelligent people. All the people in the middle go, you're a fucking phony, man.
Exactly. But the problem is it seems like there's a copious amount of those last two you mentioned right now in America.
I'm still shocked, dude. I mean, okay, we're on America a lot here. We're going to switch back to Ukraine stuff, but
yeah,
I'm still shocked how many people are not dragging him underwater further in the polls so far. It blows me away how many people are still diehard MAGA people, even though they're watching their community crumble.
If the midterms don't move against Trump and MAGA, then personally, I feel like the United States is officially a kakistocracy more than a democracy.
If the big, beautiful bill in, 18 months for the primary, something like that, 16 months, if that isn't the thing that flips it right then and there, intelligence, critical thinking, and democracy itself is in trouble.
Yeah,
but
precisely.
If you spend any time searching the web, you can find plenty of stories of people who are diehard MAGAs who've been adversely impacted by some of his policies. You know, like you lost all your medical care or what have you.
Right. Grandma got kicked out.
Loyal to him for some damn reason.
That's what blows me away, Commander.
What the hell?
I honestly, I really hope it never gets so bad as this, but it almost feels like it would have to be some crazy shit like a Yugoslav war in the middle of America, people being forced to evacuate the country And even then, you'd have people who wouldn't wake up. It infuriates me.
Yeah. So, Slavie, where are we going next here? Any shout outs you need to do or any questions from your side or anything?
I was just looking at the next segment I wanted to do. Huge shout out to the mods and SSW for giving away 1 Yarochenko membership. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yes. The next story I wanted to do was pretty big one that got kind of overlooked, and it's that China warns the EU that EU can't let Russia lose.
I saw that article before. Yes. Go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then EU spent 25 billion on Russian energy in 2024, 3 billion more than on Ukraine aid. Finland and Czechia pushed for more NATO burden sharing, and UK announces new F-35A purchases amid fear of the US retreat. And the narrative here I have written is that America's hesitation fuels authoritarian ambition and Europe's addiction funds it.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why I really wanted to do that one. Because that's, Europe is not waking up, it seems like. And
not quick enough.
No. Or they'll wake up and then go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's an angry beast laying underneath that union if they would just let it out just a little bit,
Maybe another thought is maybe they know something we don't, and that technically Russian army it's shit, and Russian economy is shit. Russia will fall apart, whether whoever likes it or not. There's no returning from what Russia is doing.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of time, really. But it's still, you got to defeat all of axis of evil. There's still China, and
it's building right now instead of receding. It's building.
Oh yeah, the BRICS nations now officially make up the majority of the world population with the new members who recently joined their ranks.
Right? And it doesn't matter that some of them aren't as wealthy as America or even Canada or something. You've got a collective group of people that have a somewhat similar ideological look to things, and that can be powerful in just getting people to step up and take a rifle. Commander, that's a base of people that I bet Putin's loving having access to, as he's going to need them, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. From my perspective, one of the things that's really interesting about all these other countries that are starting to glom on to BRICS is that they haven't read their history. Because if you look at what the Germans did with the Pact of Steel, many of the countries that allied to them, they were immediately told, okay, you're giving up these, 10,000 square kilometers of terrain to this neighbor because we like them better than you, but you can't complain because you're part of our pact and we own your ass.
Yeah.
Commander, I've got something that I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on. I've seen some reports recently about the tensions growing between Baku and Moscow, Azerbaijan and Russia. I also know, of course, there's the close relationship between Turkey and Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is not fond of Iran. There's a lot of risk of conflict, all about the region. But I don't foresee any kind of conflict drawing Azerbaijan in directly against Russia, but do you see more because Armenia is not close with Russia anymore now either, so they're kind of out in the cold. Do you foresee more proxy wars coming
Yeah.
pretty soon?
I would not be surprised. I think the key is that none of the countries who are involved in what you're talking about in that whole region want to take on Russia. Even with a distracted Russia, they know they're kind of outclassed.
Right.
So rather than doing that, you fight people who are smaller that are in your neighborhood and beat the crap out of them. Even if the big guy is telling you stop doing that, you can kind of ignore them because, oh, this has nothing to do with you. This is a generationally old conflict that we have with these people, and we want to resecure our lands that they stole because of whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it extends even further than what you're thinking, because you mentioned Turkey. Turkey is Sunni, and
Yes.
they do not like Iran. And what they see is Iran expanding their power into a lot of other nearby states where there are Shia populations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's particularly true when you have Syria, which effectively has now changed hands in this little squabble, because the minority population there, unlike most of the places, is Shia, and the majority population are Sunni. So when they got rid of Assad, suddenly it flipped that on its head. So that gives the Iranians another cause to get really irritated and frustrated and want to do stuff to further their own ambitions in the region.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we know Erdogan has been talking about, he wants to reassert the old Ottoman claim to the region.
Right.
We're the leader of the Muslim world in this area.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you go ahead, Sakai, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's not even just religion is a huge part of it, the Sunni versus Shia divide, but a big part of it with Turkey is also the ethnic identity.
They didn't. Yeah, the idea of what we did after World War I was completely foreign to their entire way of life beforehand. It's so weird the way it plays out. There's a serious history lesson in there that I am not qualified to give, but it's some fucked up shit. It really fucked everything up.
Europeans drawing arbitrary lines on maps that have nothing to do with cultural heritage.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't they saw themselves regionally, and there was spiritual, there was cultural differences, there was a way of mingling, and then it was just all chaos, right? And it has been ever since.
Yeah. I love to drop this little vignette into this kind of a discussion because it shows just how screwy the area is. Believe it or not, during the Versailles Conference, the principal Allied powers wanted to create a Kurdistan.
Yeah.
They could not find anybody from the Kurds who would stand up and kind of be the pan-Kurdish leader, because the Kurds were so busy feuding among themselves, like they are today, that they couldn't get anything done.
Yeah.
Well, it also probably doesn't help that I am assuming at the time it was probably a suggestion for a landlocked mountainous country without any sea access. I could be wrong, but that just doesn't.
That was part of it.
Yeah.
The key thing was they knew the Kurds were a restive ethnic minority. And I think what they wanted to do was kind of establish them as a separate entity to act as a buffer between other states in the region.
Yeah.
But they couldn't figure out how to do it.
Yeah, yeah. They tried to make a neutral zone out of them, like in Star Trek, right?
Exactly.
With relation to the war between Russia and Ukraine, the thing with Turkey that I've always, because it's happened multiple times now, war between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and the Zanzibar corridor obviously being eyed as something that, if it were annexed by Turkey or Azerbaijan, would connect them physically with a land bridge, kind of create a prototype for a new modern day equivalent federation that could act as almost like a a new Ottoman Empire. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like a
Yep.
Turistan concept, Turistan. And you know, I keep wondering because Turkey seems so hot and cold. You know, I'm involved, I'm not involved, I'm back in, I'm back out, playing all sides. Um, is their ultimate angle here? I mean, not the collapse of Russia, but just being able to assert dominance over the Black Sea someday, somehow, make Iran collapse and have cultural and, you know, basically just take control there of the, you know, Islamic side of the world as the de facto superpower, I guess you could say, of the Middle
Yeah,
East.
I think Turkey kind of learned its lesson with the empire that it's better to have independent states that you have influence over than to actually rule those states. Egypt being a perfect case in point. You know, even though the British actually controlled Egypt for much of that period, the Ottoman ability to influence events inside Egypt was enormous. And I think that's kind of what they're looking for. They don't want to expand their borders necessarily. And the Black Sea region becomes problematic because most of the countries bordering the Black Sea are not Islamic. They're Christian or Greek Orthodox or what have you. So, yeah, I think they'd like to see the Russians weakened, but they don't necessarily want to annex that territory for themselves.
Oh yeah, no, I could see that. There's no ambition to like move up northward and like have lay claim to the Caucasus or anything like that, which is why it's I don't know, it's a situation where I keep asking myself, what is it just going to is the Caucasus region just kind of doomed to chaos like the Balkans have been
Yeah,
for so long?
it's going to be a Balkanized region with all these little ethnic minority, ethnic majority states that kind of hate each other, but understand that it's in their interest not to fight one another. And that plays into both a expansionist Turkish and an expansionist Russian's hands. Because when you have small states, it's easier for you to exert influence over them because you're so much bigger, both militarily and economically. You can offer, you know, the carrot economically, and you can threaten the stick militarily if they get out of line with what you'd like.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping that there can eventually be enough unity to at least in some way, shape, or form stick it to the Russians.
Yes.
Slavie, any questions we should go to here?
Yes, absolutely. We have a couple from the Carpathian. On the list of supplies held up in Poland, there were Hellfire missiles. This is the first I heard Hellfire being used, sent. Can you offer any insight on this?
No, we've provided Hellfires to them for a while. How they're using them, I'm not entirely sure. Hellfire is primarily an air launch system. So,
air launch as in from like the F-16s or from something less?
You can launch them from an F-16, although it's not necessarily designed for that purpose, but you could.
Okay.
It's primarily for like helicopters. And they might have drones that could be repurposed for carrying them as well, you know,
like those big helicopters that went at Rambo in number 3.
Right.
Just kidding.
And maybe Ukraine is putting those Hellfire missiles on the drones instead of helicopters.
They possibly could. I mean, the U.S. puts Hellfires on our Predator and Reaper drones, but those are much, much bigger aircraft than what we're thinking of as drones that are currently being used by both sides in the Ukrainian war.
Then we have, thank you so much for that answer, Commander. I know I learned a lot here. We have a question from It Wasn't Me. if it is okay for this YouTube channel to promote other Canadian channels, I feel it would be a great idea to give Guard the Leaf a shout out.
Oh, I just found Guard the Leaf. At first I was a little like, is this one of those new AI channels? And then I went and checked, and it's definitely not. And when you listen, you can tell. Guard the Leaf is a really cool patriotic Canadian channel. I highly recommend people check it out. Offhand, I don't know, but I'm guessing that you could just do @Guard the Leaf and you're going to find the channel.
Oh, hell yeah. That's
a great
awesome.
name. Great
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dude's got like not just a good outlook on things, but when he does a reaction video to somebody, he's very respectful in the way he does it as well, which is, very Canadian. It's very good to see.
As it should be. I would have to say, as it should be.
He just recently did one from, I think her name is Deb from the Ranch, or On the Ranch, or Of the Ranch. She's an American chick that does some really cool videos, and she seems to be on a farm, or maybe a horse farm or something, ranch, right? Cattle, I don't know. But he was really nice to her. She did Why Are Canadians Not Coming to America video, and she was very on point, but she missed one big thing, and he definitely pointed it out. It was good.
Oh, California is trying hard for Canadians to come to the state. Gavin Newsom's really setting it up for, but I don't know if that's going to help.
In my mind, if I can say to all my Canadian brethren out there, California itself should, for the most part, especially if you're talking about like city life, LA, San Francisco and stuff, they should not be on your boycott America list for travel, because they are very much in line with us.
It's true, but there is, Trump's Gestapo police. They're here, and actually, they're heading to not the same people, but they're going to do the same thing as they did here in Florida.
Yeah, so. And I want to just say this: everyone, of course, make their own informed decisions. As someone who travels through the states very frequently, and in and out. Be careful right now, especially since there was just recently that one, multiple people detained, that one guy from Canada who died in ICE custody. It is it is legitimately dangerous now, so be careful.
Yeah, no. I mean, to be honest, if from my perspective, point of view, right now, if I was still in professional musician, playing in bands and so on and whatnot, there's no way in hell I would be going to America right now. I like to smoke CBD for my chronic pain issues and stuff. I don't like taking opiates. It's not my thing. And right away, I'd be in trouble as a visitor. That's there's no way, right? No way.
Oh, here's something that might make you happy to hear, Dick. I recently was speaking with a friend of mine who's doing great work on the ground, helping soldiers in Ukraine, and getting them medical attention that they need, getting them to hospitals in like Lithuania.
Okay.
All over the place. She's really, she's 20-something. She's really motivated, really involved, and maybe I'll try to invite her onto the show one of these days. But she's
hook us up. That'd be cool. I like people like that very much, very much. Like that girl from the Ostomola Animal Shelter. I was so impressed with her. She has to fundraise and come up with so much money and juggle and jingle and make it happen. She is just properly inspirational.
It was great. Yeah.
Got to get her back on, don't we? We got to get her back on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have one more question, bringing it back to Ukraine. This is for Commander Macmillan. How do you see the chances of the U.S. to provide more Patriot systems and missiles to Ukraine, either directly or indirectly via Germany?
Oops. I'll say I kind of already answered that, but I'll reiterate and kind of spin this slightly. The issue is not the U.S. military. I think the U.S. military, by and large, would agree that providing those weapons to Ukraine is a good thing at this point. The issue is the current administration, which, in my opinion, is giving lip service to the idea of supporting Ukraine, but not doing any actual delivery and payoff on those promises. Will that change? I don't know. We've seen squabbly fights between Putin and Trump. If those continue, if those exacerbate, possibly Trump will begin to lose his romance of loving, the great authoritarian Putin, and then arms shipments might resume in more quantity. I don't know, but I think the key thing to take away is that the GOP in general, and specifically the MAGAs today, have always been fairly isolationist minded. They firmly believe that two great oceans are enough to protect us, and we should be able to sell arms to anybody, providing they pay in cash, and we're just going to stay in our warm bubble area and not have anything to do with anyone. Let the world go to hell in its handbasket.
Yeah, ask Japan how well that worked out for them.
Yeah, exactly. And that, I think, is kind of where we're at today, is the people who are the powers behind the Orange God King's throne basically want to revert to that mindset. So spending U.S. tax dollars to give, not sell, but give equipment to Ukraine runs counter to their belief structure, if you will.
Yeah.
I'd say that Russia already invaded on the inside. They've invaded America, and they're controlling America from the inside.
Well, they've got,
obviously, but
they've got control of the mindset of a few Americans due to social media. Yep. Sorry, Commander.
I was saying, you have to ask yourself, who did the Russian infiltration into the American system benefit? Why would they turn against people that are benefiting them?
Yeah.
There's your problem.
Here's another thing.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Just like happened to Sakai, we got Duncan, and we got to at least say hi before we completely ignore him. That's it. It's a rule.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, yeah, I've only been here 20 minutes listening to you lot. So yeah, I am here.
How's it going? What's happening?
I'm not telling you.
Okay, well, that's probably for the best. So we'll go back to what we were talking about, and
Yeah. All I was gonna say is, someone like Trump isn't driven really by ideology. He's someone who really, in my opinion, he's a narcissist, a grifter. Whatever benefits him the most, that's what he's gonna go for. Cares about his reputation, what people think of, to a certain degree, what people think of him, money, power, etc. My bigger concern, not just because of the incompetence,
Trump wants to be Arnold Palmer's cock.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. I was, yeah. Well, then I guess the other guy I was about to mention, Pete Hegseth, who I guess we'll just call him Whiskey Limp Pete. It's not just the incompetence with him. I do think there's ideology there that lines up more with Russia for him as an individual compared to someone like Trump. And his current role, I think him and others who are around him and his circle within the current government, it's not just asinine to have to listen to them and everything they're trying to throw wrenches in as far as foreign affairs go, but I really do think that infiltration probably starts within that group of people.
Well, they all want to have themselves in a position of de jure oligarchs like you have in Russia. I mean, let's be honest, they're kind of de facto oligarchs already, but they want it formally adopted that way, and the rest of us to be pushed to the outside where we have no say or influence on what's going on in our lives.
Yeah.
They like that. And that's what they
Absolutely.
want.
Absolutely.
I'd say these ones here in America are even more dangerous because they all have absolutely insane kooky ideologies. Because I was watching this interview with Peter Thiel. Holy, and Peter Thiel, he financed pretty much J.D. Vance's whole career.
Mhm.
So and he's a libertarian, but like holy shit, he wants these like freedom cities, and everyone's under this like
The problem with the word
basically slave.
libertarian, the problem with the word libertarian in American politics is it quite literally means a different thing to every person who thinks they know what it means.
Yeah.
So, and the far right has kind of got more influence over the term right now than ever before in the past.
Russia too. Don't forget Russia. A lot of them, because I had a friend who was a libertarian, but like old school one, and he agrees we should, you know, as America help Ukraine and you know, fight for freedom. But these, I guess, new ones, they're like, no, we're not gonna help. But like, that's not our problem. It's very like America first ideology.
It's confusing to a Canadian because when we hear the term libertarian, we're figuring they're going to be lefties.
Well, and you know, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was lefties. The Libertarian Party, at least, not necessarily the libertarian movement as a whole in the US, had like this weird mix of both left and right views. They used to put out videos like, we believe that every same-sex couple should have the right to grow their own marijuana on their own land and protect it with AR-15s. It was like a weird mix of everything.
That's strange, man.
But it's changed a lot. It's kind of like the Mises Caucus is the name of it. The Mises came to power among the American libertarians, and after that, the paleo libertarian movement, I guess, is the wing you would call it. They've really taken everything over formally within the party, and then of course outside that,
the paleo libertarians, what do? Dig up the bones of their ancestors? What?
Is that like the paleo diet?
Yeah, I know. It, like I said, if
We're all going to be vegan unless we eat people.
Yeah, libertarianism is weird, man. It's too weird.
That's funny. So they're righties that should be lefties that spend their days dieting and digging up dinosaurs while trying to affect politics in a right-wing manner. That's so screwed up.
And doing some weird ass drugs like Elon Musk. So
Yeah.
Hey, Elon, pass the ketamine.
Yeah. When you have all the power in the world, you have like absolutely insane kooky ideologies, and you're on drugs, we're in trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
And couple that with white supremacists and Christo-fascists, and you've got a mix that's just, it's loony city, man.
I have a term for this that I like to refer to at times like this. You know what you get when you mix a kleptocracy with a plutocracy with a kakistocracy? You get a
sounds like the worst joke ever.
You get a clusterfuckocracy, man.
Oh, that's funny. You know, with all of those different mixes into the pot for the witch's brew that is the MAGA movement, no wonder they all dance around high on ketamine singing YMCA. It actually makes sense now.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, and the craziest thing is that it's not even constrained just to the US. When I see the parallels and the connections, like people literally flying between countries, between far right, you know, MAGA equivalent people in like Europe or Australia or Canada's got a couple, especially in some provinces, particular ones. Even
Alberta!
yeah, that one exactly. It's just even Japan now has like a new rise of a party that's like praising more or less the imperial Japanese army. So I mean, it's
that's not what they need. That's just no.
Yeah, no, I mean, the problem is just the entire world. The entire world is going crazy right now, like it appears to do every century or so in the modern era. And well, less than that, every 60 or 75 years or something. And yeah, America's just kind of the easiest to focus on because it gets especially crazy over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a question for you all.
Oh God.
If the planet Earth and all its politics and all the people and everything was a bit like Microsoft Windows that had like a reset, a save state.
At this point, it's ME. It's ME.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Microsoft anymore. I'm talking about the Earth. So you got a save state of history in sometime when you thought the Earth was doing all right. I'm going to ask each of you which date would you reset the Earth to?
Would I
or
feel
period?
would I sound too jaded if I said the Jurassic period?
Which kind of dinosaur do you get to be?
Yeah. I want one
Exactly.
that's about to fly so I could maybe glide,
And maybe warn them about the asteroid.
By the way, shout out to Jurassic Park movie that just came out. Non-paid plug right here.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good, is it? It's good.
Yeah.
Is it better than the Chris Pratt ones? Because they didn't work for me very well. He's as an actor, he's what's the word for shitty.
I'd have to agree. Not the biggest fan.
Don't
So
hold back, Tom.
Yeah.
You really feel, Dick. Come on.
Yeah, to me, him, Will Ferrell, or the guy who did the model with the look. What's his name?
In Zoolander.
Yeah. Who's that guy?
Stiller.
Yeah, I just avoid those three dudes like the plague. And as such, I enjoy movies. I don't know about you, but
What about Ryan Reynolds?
I like him.
great. Yeah.
He's very much sort of the same guy now, like he's always a bit like they go, well, here's the idea, Ryan, this is what you need to portray, so just be yourself and we'll pick the version of it that we like, right? But at the same time, being Canadian, there's like some Belushi, Rick Moranis and John Candy to his performances and those kinds of things, and I love that. So
he's a billionaire now, if I'm not mistaken, because he's marketing genius.
Yeah, he's also lent his voice to Only a Few Things, and usually well. He just stood up and accepted the Order of Canada and whatnot. And overall, Canadians approve of Ryan Reynolds. He's, he always mentions Canada and stuff in his things. And, I mean, we forgive the Green Lantern movie. Okay. We're all right.
I actually like that one.
You know what, Slavie? So do I. I don't, nowadays with everybody wearing a digital Iron Man suit and stuff, the idea of the digital costume from that movie isn't so laughable anymore. You know what? It was the pioneer, and it just got the shit end of the stick, really.
Yeah, I agree.
There's nothing wrong with spandex.
Well, let's get back on the topic of Ukraine, but I will say this, I liked the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. My problem is, like, my generation, when I was a kid, I grew up watching the Jon Stewart, the Marine Corps Green Lantern.
I didn't. For me, he's the other guy. Yeah. Jon Stewart is the more hardcore guy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it's like that was the movie I wanted. That's the one that the child in me was like,
dude,
for.
Check our Plex server, because there's 2 Jon Stewart animated Green Lantern movies that seriously kick ass.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I
they're
believe-
totally worth it. Yeah. When it comes to DC animated, my son and I are all about that, and we got all the good ones. Like, holy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so back on the topic of Ukraine, have you have you
Sorry,
guys,
everybody.
We gotta
have you
laugh.
guys
We gotta
Yeah.
laugh sometimes.
Yeah.
but it actually flows really well because we were just talking about the Marine Corps versus Air Force Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Have you guys talked about the strike on Russian fighter jet bases by Ukraine striking back at them after the attack on Kiev?
We haven't got to that yet. Good one. And I haven't even had time to look into that. Was that more one of those sneaky attacks, or did they just kind of fly them in more traditionally? How did that even play out?
Well, let's see here. According to what I have pulled up, it looks like the attack. Damn ads.
Ukraine,
Go
Ukraine
ahead.
hit the Russian drones and aviation assets, the ones that's deep inside Russia. Is that what you're talking about? Because there's a couple of strikes that are happening.
Well, I guess I was specifically talking about the attack on Voronezh Oblast in Russia.
Okay, let me see. I don't think I have that one. Or wait,
Those
No.
are within range of standard drones to reach.
Yeah,
So
this was.
I don't think it had to be one of those, like, what was
Sneak.
it, spider web or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
They could
think
just
what we're
fly
gonna see now is more of these attacks coming from Ukraine, kind of like Operation Spiderweb, because Ukraine had to stop after that happened because Trump didn't like it. He was crying over, oh no, Russian nuclear bomber fleet. But now that Russia is hitting Ukraine so hard, Ukraine is going to hit back, and you're going to see more and more of these operations because it's the only thing that Ukraine is left to do. Enough.
Since it started with Operation Spiderweb, I think colloquially, on the internet, we should refer to them as Peter Parker operations.
So you're jumping into Marvel now.
Yeah, I know, but whatever, man.
I think one of the key things to understand is that as American aid to Ukraine begins to dry up, any ability for the U.S. to constrain or restrain Ukrainian actions also begins to dry up. There's no quid pro quo there. If you're not giving me Patriots and Hellfires and all the other stuff I need, why should I listen to you when you say you don't want me to strike targets like these? So you can continue to do that. And it's getting that subtle nuance clear to the Orange God King that will change the dynamics of what's going on. Once he realizes that, then there's that art of the deal thing that he likes. So he can say, okay, I'll give you this much if you stop doing this. But he's too dumb.
He's so dumb. I keep waiting for the moment that, he just says, well, if we can't give Ukraine weapons, why don't we give them to Russia to force? It's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Not only is that morally horrible, but it also shoots the United States in the foot militarily, economically, in terms of trust with all of its own allies who are terrified of Russia. But he's so ill-informed. I just keep waiting for an announcement.
It's also surrendering our technological edge.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Huge, dude. And everybody knows.
If he does something like that, I guarantee you people in the Pentagon are going to go, what the actual F?
Since the 40s, people have understood the absolute need for technological advantage. Right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even in World War I, we understood it. But in World War II, it was solidified that was an absolute must. Right.
Yeah, every
Yep.
denier got slapped in the face. No, this is the reality. You have to live
Fucking
with.
right. Yeah. And I do believe that we just saw the third turn of that as it pertains to mass war with the new drones and all of this in this conflict, right? We have seen the third stage, I do believe.
Yeah, it's further decentralizing.
Yeah.
That was always one of the edges that everybody believed that U.S. NATO had over the Warsaw Pact, Soviet Union, which is that we relied on smaller units to do things, and they relied on central command to direct everybody to do anything. And God help if you did things that you weren't being told to do by higher authority.
Yeah.
Conversely, NATO was like, yeah, if you're the operational scene commander and you see an opportunity, exploit it immediately.
Yeah.
Well, we've now driven that down from the brigade battalion level down to, individual squad level almost, with all the use of drones.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe it was yourself, Commander. There was a brief discussion. I don't know if it was us or maybe over on Nick's channel, but the way that everything went from the super expensive American drones to the almost off the shelf, I'll take you out anyway drone. And that's what you mean by localized, like the individual units running around have their gear, not just you, right?
And it's even more to the point, it's not just the operational use of these systems, it's also building these systems. I mean, you look at what Ukraine is doing to build
the
all
improvements.
Yeah, it's like being built by Oleg and his sister in their basement or something.
Yeah, and there's the old adage from way back in the day in the technological sector. Necessity is the mother of invention. So certain technologies when they pertain to war get seriously advanced when needed, and drones has happened, right?
Oh yeah.
Very much.
Have any of you ever heard of a website called prometheus.org.ua?
I do not.
So Prometheus, it's just one. There's actually, I want to say there's 3 or 4. There's a couple of groups doing this, but they're a platform from Ukraine, primarily focused on Ukrainian citizens and civilians inside the country. But they work with people from all over, and they run free courses teaching people how to make their own DIY drones at home, like the same quality and to be able to hand them off to the armed forces. So, I mean, it really is, not just crowdsourcing, but it's just open sourcing the entire drone warfare movement. Ukraine is at the forefront of it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Let me just do a thing here. Because I want to make sure that we get the Car for Ukraine donor wall in, because we have ignored that for a while. Sorry, everybody. But we got Jean-Marc Ladacour in today, 7.5. That's today, right? Yep, there we go. And that's a $17 donation into our fund, which I do believe puts us very close to $800 here. I won't scroll that for you because it'll make you sick when it's that zoomed in, right? Yeah, there we go. So we're at $786. We will have the link in the live chat for you. We have a direct link in our live chat that you can donate through us, and we just put it through at the end of the show. And there's also the link in the description if you're not a live chat person, but you still want to participate. Now, in the background here, I'm going to take 1 minute to set up a couple of videos to show you the kind of trucks that you can help donate for, because y'all have seen a lot of trucks that are very much based on transporting troops to a place, or medical evac, get them the fuck out of there, and so on. But I want to show you a couple of videos of the rocket truck shooting off, because they make me happy. I love seeing our Ukrainian brethren shooting rockets at those fucking orcs. So I'm going to load it up, and the rest of the panel here are going to take you through a little bit more chat.
Well, I have questions that we can catch up on. question for Commander Macmillan. What will happen if Ukraine used ships and cannons along with Russia? Sounds piratey a little bit.
Yeah, I really don't understand what the question is. I'm sorry. Are they saying to arm ships and use them to attack Russian shipping?
I think maybe, yeah, I think if Ukraine had a navy.
Oh, okay. So effectively reverting to what used to be the old privateer system. And pirates, just so people understand what that is, pirates were just guys who took a boat and attacked whatever they wanted to make a profit off of it.
No, I added the pirates. It wasn't.
No, but it's a valid statement. So I wanted to explain what privateers are. Okay. Privateers are privately owned ships armed with whatever the owner is managed to scrounge up, given what's called a letter of marque by a country. So in this case, if Ukraine issues a letter of marque to somebody, it says, you may attack under our name the following country's shipping. Obviously, in this case, it'd be Ukraine authorizing attacks on Russian shipping. That would be an interesting development. You'd have to be able to figure out, who you're approaching. And that was always one of the problems, is that privateers would say they were operating for country A against country Z, but they'd be attacking country Y and W and P, Q, L, L.
So, would those privateers also go after flags of convenience like the Liberian and Panamanian,
Right. That's the concern here, is that so much of international shipping these days does not operate under national flags, but what are called flags of convenience, as you say. So, for example, if you wanted to register your container ship in the US, the fees for doing so and bringing your ship up to US code to be able to get that registry is very expensive. Conversely, if you were to register your ship with Panama, it's merely give us $500 and we'll give you a certificate that says you're registered as a Panamanian ship.
Yeah, does it float?
They don't do anything
You're good.
to make your ship safer. They don't require your captain to be certified. They don't care. All they want is the $500.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to tax havens in business, right?
Oh, it is. It's very much that case.
Yeah.
So a lot of international shipping is actually conducted by ships operating under flags of convenience.
Right.
So you run that risk. What I was getting at is, let's say you get a Ukrainian privateer and they decide, okay, that Panamanian ship is carrying cargo that I believe is from Russia, so I'm going to attack and sink it. Ooh. And it turns out, no, it wasn't Russian affiliated cargo. It may have been Japanese or Filipino or whatever.
Right.
Effectively, now Ukraine is in a quasi state of war against the Philippines or whoever, because you've attacked a ship carrying their cargo, and then Panama also gets into the thing. So it's very murky, dangerous waters. Even if you're operating, confining these operations to just, say, the Black Sea, where there's only, a half dozen different nationality ships that you'd have to be concerned about, even then you run that risk of expanding your conflict to areas that you don't want it to be expanded to.
It seems like that risk is already, I see exactly what you're saying, Commander. The risk of expansion, especially with things like North Korean troops continuing to pour into the Russian side, with just all of, everything with Iran and Israel, we're already in the stage right now where it feels like the Russo-Japanese War, the World War Z stage, right before everything really explodes.
It makes it makes you wonder, because if we're seeing that, doesn't the whole NATO, UN, and so on group start seeing that too and go, you know what? Don't we have to just start backing people up? And you know what I mean? Like, isn't it close, Commander? Where they
It
I
can
feel-
be that, or it can be the alternate, which is, for example, we know, I think it was Sweden or Finland recently seized one of the Shadow Fleet ships,
Yeah.
for carrying Russian cargo.
Yeah. I think it was Finland, wasn't it?
As I said, it's Sweden
Yeah.
or Finland or somebody. I don't know who it was, but that's the same kind of thing because the Shadow Fleet operates under flags of convenience.
Right.
So if you're going to start attacking being in quotes, flags of convenience, you need damned good intel to be able to tell you, no, that specific ship we know is officered by Russian paid crew and they're carrying a Russian cargo. So if we attack it and seize it, then we're still clean because we can demonstrate to the world that we are doing what is within our authority to do.
Yeah.
Conversely, if you devolve that onto Joe, who takes his yacht out to go shoot up a random flag of convenience ship, that ends up potentially putting you in a really bad situation.
Hmm.
Yeah. There's just an international scandal waiting to happen.
Yeah. Let's do a couple of shout outs here. So first up, we've got UTV and Ham coming in with a $20 direct donation. Slavie, Ukraine. Hero Slava. Good shout, UTV. Car for Ukraine donation it is. And then we got Johnny C in the chat here. And that's previous username Yaya. So now things have clicked a bit more. That really helps. And that was a $5 direct donation as well, which is definitely going into the Car for Ukraine fund there. Let me switch back over to my other list. We got RC William in the chat. Trump loves stroking Putin's white chocolate. I don't think that stick has been out of the oven because it's looking a little limp. Jean-Marc Latiker in the super chat column there. Donate to cars. Yeah, it's going in there. Niles Knudsen in with a second group of donated members. Bounce a little bitch. Yeah. And then White Fishy One comes in with a $20 super chat for Ukrainian fun. Slavie, Ukraine. He even got smart and put Sergeant Buckchuck in the message as well. That's the little raccoon down in the corner. Where am I here? Yeah, there. Sergeant Buckchuck. Because what he does is, if I turn this off and put that on, he shows you the latest direct donation in Ko-fi. Isn't he a fun little raccoon? You know?
I never knew he had a name. I thought he was just a random raccoon on crack.
Yeah, no, he's Sergeant Buckchuck because he points out people that chuck bucks, right?
I thought he was doing magic 6-gun shooting at them.
I had no idea what the raccoon meant either. I was like, what? Why is it there? But now I do.
Yeah, we never bring it up. We used to talk about it a lot. Dunk created him. He drew him and animated him and everything. He's an original creation. We should have a merch thing with him, but we're stupid. So, let me finish my shout outs here. We got Jean-Marc Latiker in with a second shout out as well. If liquor off the shelves, Canadian whiskey is now moving. Yeah, he's talking about the U.S. liquor there. And it's true. That's another thing. It's serious in the booze world. We're really avoiding American stuff up here. Irish whiskey, we love it. Scottish whiskey, we love it. Lots of import drinks and stuff. We used to like American drinks, but even our rednecks are trying to put down Budweiser and switch back to Molson.
Hey, man, I'll take a bottle of Black Velvet any day.
Oh, and that little boy smile. Remember that? What's her name? We used to call her a lot of miles because she really had to work the couch to get that album. Alana Miles. That's it. Yeah.
Man, that is an old reference.
Yeah. Well, I'm an old guy, so it kind of holds together, right? No.
Yep.
I should shut. Oh, here, hold on. I only
have
just
a
figured out that
couple
sorry, I got one guest to set up. So you take it, Slavie, and I'll set up Canty. Here, hold on.
Oh, nice. I also have shout outs. Thank you to Mr. Dawson for sending 5 Slavie gift memberships. Thank you so much. Also to Paul, also for giving out 5 Slavie gift memberships. After this live stream, I'm going to post my news brief that I do for the show for the members. So you guys will get the full picture of the update that I prepare for the show. And also, thank you, SSW, again, for handing out Slavie gift membership. And SSW has a super chat. I know he's been saying this for a while. He's saying, can we please have Vita from Think Ukraine as a guest?
Slavie, would you make a note of that so we can do that invite coming up in the next couple of days? I've also got 2 people that are on the list that I've talked to that will be bringing onto the show coming up as well. Yeah, we've got some good guests coming up. You know, it's actually partially my fault that we haven't done it all. So I'll take that on the chin for sure.
Oh, this reminds me of something. I think it's still ongoing. How's the fundraiser right now for Brit that was posted a few days back?
We were just going to shout that out. I was about to alert the mods in the live chat that we got to get that one done, or in the green room as well, that we got to get that one done. But good call. Canty, how's it going, man? Welcome. And let me make sure your audio isn't muted because I did that to somebody else. You're good. How's it going?
Well, it's going good. It's another day in, well, hell.
Yeah. Everybody okay? Everybody good? Or, you know?
Well, it's just, 98 degrees with 80% humidity here. So,
yeah, you guys are doing the full facial Indiana Jones melting if you go outside, right?
pretty much.
Yeah. So, Canty, you're newest on the show here. We'll turn to you right away. There's been some news that a lot of people don't like, but what's pissing you off right now? Sound off, because this is the forum.
Too many things to start. Of course, Frump, he doesn't deserve the T. He's an F. Multiple meanings behind that. But it's just, I'm wondering how soon if I need to, because I'm going over to Ukraine again this September.
Right.
I'm wondering, do I need to get my asylum paperwork ready now or save it for later?
Oh.
To stay over there, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because, I'm on the borderline of being cut from Medicaid because of big Donald Trump's big, beautiful F up.
Oh, God. Really, dude? Holy, one of our own is getting fucked? That's not cool.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. But, so yeah, it's like, okay, well, that's going to cut my, I'll still have medical coverage, but my prescription coverage will disappear. And that becomes almost a $3,500 bill a month to have my meds.
Holy shit.
I think for everyone, prescription prices in the United States will skyrocket.
And, it's already cheaper for me to get meds in Ukraine without insurance than it is to get my meds here with insurance.
It legitimately is a white collar crime because it is so artificially inflated, the prices in the United States. Honestly, there needs to be regulation, and someone should be told no charging, thousands of dollars for insulin, just as one example, which was designed to be free and openly available to the entire world, is a criminal act.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second here. Let me ask a couple questions. So even with your coverage, you're paying some right now, the coverage you're about to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And that amount that you pay will be about the same in Ukraine without any coverage at all.
It's cheaper in Ukraine.
Much, much cheaper. That's what I thought.
I'm paying about $22 a month in for medicines here, and my bill on Tablica UA would be about $12.
Now, is this a situation where the Ukrainian government has some deal to make the medication cheaper, or is the medication just cheaper on the shelf in Ukraine?
You have to have either state insurance in Ukraine to get the lower prices in Ukraine, or private insurance.
Okay.
I'd have to get private insurance, but no, without insurance, without any copay from the government or insurance company, it's about half price.
Okay, so and what is the coverage, the insurance coverage that you would pay in Ukraine on a monthly basis to get the fair price?
$160 a year.
A year?
Yeah.
That's no money. That's not even a small amount of money. That's no money, right? I mean, if you like scotch on the rocks and a steak, you could spend that in an evening just having a nice supper.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, the crazy. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm borrowing your words. The crazy thing is, the medicines I had a thyroid cancer, and they had to nuke my thyroid.
Right.
So I'm on lithothyroxine, something I'm going to need to take the rest of my life. Every 6 months, I have to go into the doctors here, pay a $240 doctor visit to renew my prescription for something I'm going to need the rest of my life. In Ukraine, no prescription needed.
You have to go in and continuously prove that something that the medical community knows is now a lifelong endeavor has to be needed again.
Mm-hmm.
For some
Why?
medications, sorry, I can't see, but I'm going through this too, where I have to go to see the doctor every month just to get my like mental health medication. There's no refills or anything, so yeah.
That in a situation of mental health, forcing you into a doctor's office and all this stuff and whatnot is the last thing they should be fucking doing.
Oh yeah. The system is working.
I'm not smart, but I know that. I mean, you know.
If there's one thing, and it pains me to say this, but it's true. If there's one thing politically and societally in America in terms of reminding me of the mindset in Russia of just being willing to take anything and everything, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how criminal, no matter how nonsensical, it is the American willingness to accept how bad medical care, the cost of it is for anyone who doesn't make at least six figures.
You drop out?
Oh,
Well,
did I drop out?
Yeah, you accept hat.
Shoot, I'm sorry. I said if there's anything that reminds me and pains me in American society of Russia and the mindset of accepting whatever bullshit is thrown onto you, never questioning it, it is how bad medical care is if you don't make at least six figures in the United States.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny you say that because the first time I was on the Shills, we were talking about Trump getting elected. And it's like, well, you know, it's going to be great if you make over six figures.
Yeah.
If you guys remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was an interesting thing that I think Dick brought it up in the one of our chats, was that there was a poll put out about the big, beautiful bill, and about 50% of Americans didn't even know it existed.
Yeah. Almost 50% of Americans had no idea there was a big, beautiful bill, let alone what was in it.
Yeah.
How many of those do you think are hardcore MAGAs?
How's that possible? They were talking about on Fox News that's all what they were talking about.
No.
50% of people don't watch the news.
Yeah. They're too busy trying to see if they can get their pet pig pregnant.
What? That was a random statement.
well, they're not going to do it that way. That's for sure.
I was just trying to, prove exasperation in a way that, without using the word. Anyway, sorry, Commander.
I was going to say, I think it's less a case of, distracted. I'm more interested in watching Hollywood Squares or whatever. I think it really is a sense of nothing I say or do within the political system has an impact. So why should I bother to pay attention to it?
I 100%. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and I see that a lot. And what's particularly frightening to me is how many young people are that way. I mean, I remember, in my teens and early 20s, politics, being involved and knowing what was going on and trying to have an impact on things was really important to me and to many of the other people that were in my, social age bracket.
Yeah.
But today, I think a lot of people just have kind of given up because they think, it doesn't matter if I vote red or blue. It's all the same people doing the same things. Nobody really looks out for my interests.
I think
what we need is, somebody like Bernie Sanders-ish figure. I'm not saying Bernie now.
Yeah, but 35 years old. Yeah.
Somebody like that who stands up and starts offering, as FDR did to bring us out of the Depression, that concept of a New Deal. Life is screwed in this country right now, and I'm going to offer you something different. I'm going to make life better for the majority of us, not for the select few at the top.
Commander, I think that message is literally sitting on the table for the taking for the Democrats, starting in the primaries, whatever they're called. They're coming up, yeah.
But look at what's happening with who was the guy who just recently won an election.
Mamdani.
Yeah, that guy. The amount of hate and pushback he's getting from the DNC.
I know. But
meanwhile,
they should be.
It's because he's a progressive, and the DNC loathes progressive more than they do the most ardent MAGA.
Yeah, but the problem here is the Democrats as a whole, the DNC, right? They're not learning from the fact that Mamdani totally used social media and interaction and showing it and whatnot in a way that Biden and Harris had no clue how to do.
Yep, exactly.
Right? They're totally missing the point. Don't get mad at the man. Get up to date with delivering the message.
And as some of the people are mentioning in the chat stream here, that's why Trump appealed to so many people is even though it was a patent lie, he said, I care about you and your concerns and I'll do something.
Yeah.
Even though they knew they were being lied to, they were still happier to have somebody who pretended to listen to them.
Exactly.
Than a bunch of people who, you're a flyover state. Why should I care what happens here?
He kind of electrified the young vote more than Michael J. Fox's Alex P. Keaton character did during Family Ties, right?
Yep.
That's what you're going to have to do as a candidate for anything now is electrify the young vote, because without doing that, the boomers outvote us. The millennials, the Gen Xers, Gen Ys, Gen Z, we're all outnumbered by the boomers.
Yeah.
Well, soon us assholes are going to start dying off.
Hey, I'm an Xer by like 2 years, so I get a pass on that. But,
And I'm a mutant. I'm not too sure where I fit in.
I'll tell you one thing, Dunk. Yoda had a pretty sizable head to the body, but you stretched it in making that avatar for yourself.
Don't forget the Gen Xers are the Elon Musks and the Peter
Yeah.
Thiels. So yeah,
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
take those as well.
You know, I just was randomly reminded of oh, does anyone here who's familiar? I'm not going to pretend to be super familiar, but is anyone here familiar with domestic Ukrainian politics and the name Alexander Mereshko?
I've heard it a few times, but I couldn't put a face to the name.
I remember a friend of mine sent me an article about this guy, and I was thinking, this is proof that we've got crazy stuff in every country, because this guy's an MP in the Rada, in the Ukrainian parliament, and he had originally nominated Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh,
That
yeah.
that guy, and he just withdrew that.
Yeah. It was within 24 hours, and they were like, "Oh, that was a bad decision."
Yep. Yeah, it's man. I feel like we could go around in circles. There's enough crazy stories all over.
I know.
Right?
I know. I
Yeah.
know. I know. The stuff with Musk. Now, I don't want to get too locked into Americanization here in the chat, but the stuff with Musk is furious over the bill, right? And if you think it's just about the subsidies because of being a clean car person, well, you've kind of fallen for it a little bit, because sure, there's subsidies there, but it's the cafe credits. If you look into it, Musk and Tesla are looking to lose 40% of their profit, not revenue, profit from 2024, right? I've been nailing this point home in a few of our 42 show videos, but the car companies that don't meet the emissions requirements have to buy credits from car companies that do, like Tesla electric cars. Tesla's income was 40% based on these credits. Trump's bill not only gets rid of those little subsidies and stuff that do amount to things, but it takes away the need of Ford, Chrysler, GM, and everybody of having to buy the cafe credits from Musk. And this is going to be devastating.
It almost sounds like a targeted economic attack against him by someone who was angry.
Yeah.
Could have predicted this.
But I do like when Trump says, well, he knew I was going to take away the subsidies. I do believe that Musk was like, yeah, we can stand on our own without the subsidies. That's fine. But the subsidies, the cafe credit requirements are not subsidies. And there's this weird disconnect in the public argument between them because nobody's admitting the true value of this. It's interesting.
Do you think Elon Musk will go through with this America Party? And
I hope so. I hope he splits that vote. I hope that he.
I think he will.
Half of MAGA with him.
He did say, if it's the last thing I'll do. So.
Yeah, and he's got the flipping cash, man. If he wants to, he can employ social media people to sell the message in subtle ways and stuff. And he can fund the people he wants to and make sure their message gets out in a very social media environment way, because he's got the employees from X and stuff that have the data, that understand. Don't underestimate what Musk can do.
I mean, he got Trump to be the president.
Yes.
Tell him pretty much.
Yeah.
He's like, he really is like the evil real life Tony Stark after Ultron.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he is the Ultron version, right?
Yeah. One thing, if he does actually follow through on that I will be keeping a close eye on. Do any of you remember when there was like fear, among Democrat circles leading up to the 2024 2022 midterms and 2024 election, about the No Labels Party.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I'm wondering if Musk creates a new party, is there going to be a risk of, in the background, a concerted effort for some new party on the left to split the vote there as well?
And take that further. Take that further. If this new party splits the vote, would they be willing to do a coalition with the Democrats?
Maybe, but coalitions are weird in U.S. politics because all you
Yeah,
can
they
really
work
do.
well up here, right? And they,
Yeah.
obviously Israel's based on it and stuff, right?
In the U.S., you basically just, your candidate drops out and officially endorses another party's candidate, and you just basically don't take part in the election because yeah, because Canada's got a little bit of a healthier, it's still first past the post, but a little bit healthier the way that you have it set up. But in the US, I mean, it just feels so archaic. It's like it has not been updated properly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the chances of splitting a Democratic vote is entirely possible because, I mean, what I was just saying about the idea of a progressive run against the traditional DNC people.
Yes.
That would easily split that vote.
And with the Democratic vote cannot be split coming up in the primaries and stuff.
100%.
It has to be unified. Otherwise, we will, well, not we as a Canadian, but collectively, my American cousins and I will endure the full 4 years, right?
Yeah, we will see a full 4 years of complete shitfuckery, as the Aussies
Yeah.
would say.
The primaries have to be taken by the left, center, left. I hate all that shit. But the anti-MAGA has to take the primaries. It just has to. And the world needs this. It's not just America, right?
Ukraine
everywhere.
needs it.
Yeah,
Ukraine
man.
needs it because we need someone in power who actually can be reasoned with.
Yes.
Who isn't. I mean, I'll be honest. I was a lot of people didn't like her, but I personally liked Kamala Harris. I liked the fact that, unlike Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I wasn't literally concerned about her having dementia. I didn't feel like it was a Ronald Reagan repeat.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Sakai, even Reagan came around from his Russia is evil and started proper negotiations, unlike Trump, right?
Oh, yeah, a lot more respect for Reagan, but no respect for Trump. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Reagan was a hardline Republican when he came into office. And at the end, he was sitting down with what's his nuts there, signing papers and stuff. His whole thing changed. And sure, Reaganomics wasn't the best thing in the world, but you got to give respect as a proper Republican to Ronald Reagan. You do.
I mean, if I had to pick one Republican who didn't completely make me want to bang my head against a table who was president, it would probably either be Bush Sr. or Reagan because, Nixon, Trump,
Eisenhower.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Something in my throat. Sorry.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, I guess post World War II, post civil rights movement. Yeah.
I'm a big believer myself in you don't align with a party. You align with the ideas, ideals, morals, morality, and stuff that you personally believe in and vote appropriately in each election. And I think the general public has got to get on board with this idea. Never mind this us versus them mentality. It's not doing you any good. What we have to do is... Yeah, Slavie, go ahead.
That's a great point because what MAGA did, MAGA Republicans, they made politics into identity where now, like, which party is your identity? And actually just did a video released today, Is Truth Dead? And I talk about this exact thing, is that don't let it become your identity, because that's exactly what MAGA and like what they're doing. That's how it becomes a cult, basically. That's how they can
Yeah.
control their people. So definitely, what aligns with your values, how you grew up, and how you see the future, your future of the world. Line with that, not with Democrat, Republican, MAGA, whatever, libertarian.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and you know, white first world countries, we've got this thing. We love this us versus them mentality. And as soon as that permeates politics and you pick a side, I don't think that you're ever capable of actually voting in your own best interest. You know, I really don't, because I don't believe that the Republicans of 1968 are the same party as now. So saying I'm a Republican is like saying I drive Fords when their 3-cylinder, 1-liter turbo EcoBoost engine is dropping like flies at 80,000 kilometers. Don't be stupid, you know?
I like to think that Republicans don't exist anymore. It's just MAGA, because the Republicans that I thought that I knew, kind of like what we just talked about, like Reagan Republicans, they would fuck with Russia so fucking fast.
Yeah.
Russia wouldn't fucking say Putin will be out. He would be dead right now. Excuse me?
Yeah. No way. Exactly.
It's not real Republicans right now. Sorry. It just isn't. This is MAGA.
No. Real Republicans did not do this America first and step out of foreign conflict and aid and stuff, because that was not a part of the program.
Well,
I like what Reagan has a fantastic quote. I'm gonna butcher it, but he says like you can't move to Italy and become Italian, and then said, but you can move to America and become American. I love that quote so much.
That's really good. Yeah. It absolutely pertains to that Canadian flag behind me as well.
You know, I know far too many Americans who, when you ask them, why do you vote the way you do, you know, Republican or Democrat, the answer is, well, my father voted that way and his father before him, so that's what I do. It's the tradition. Or everybody in my area that I know is a Republican, so I vote Republican too. There's no thought process given to which vote would be more beneficial to you personally. It's just this mindless herd mentality.
Yeah, man.
Lemmings.
Yeah, lemmings. Canty, great shout there, because that's what it is, isn't it? You know.
Wait a minute. You're expecting people to put effort in to find out?
I'm sorry. It was self-centered of me to make such a request.
You bastard.
And on that happy note, I need to wave bye-bye.
Okay, buddy.
See you, Commander.
See you, Commander.
You guys take care. I'll do my usual closeout phrase. Please communicate with your elected officials, even if you don't agree with them. The fact that you put pressure on them saying, I want this or that, it does register. So.
And if you are a lemming, just vote what Commander says.
Yeah, right. I know everything.
Ditto on that, especially right now. Please, guys, call in and say you want the Patriots for Ukraine. Give Ukraine Patriots. Please do that. It's so important.
Take care, guys. See you.
Thanks,
okay, Commander, take it easy, man. All right. Let me rearrange the screen here. Oops.
You're cloning me.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
There we go. Now I got it fixed. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it was Slavie who said it about how the parties and the way people vote, what they stand for, everything is very different now compared to several decades ago. You know, a lot of people don't think, especially Americans, don't think of it like this. But you know how the country of France, you know, the modern country, is called the Fifth Republic because it's the fifth version of modern, reorganized France as a republic, as that form of government, democratic republic. The United States, if you look at it, its system, like it's currently been since the 1980s in what people, I guess, might call the Sixth Republic or the Sixth Party system, version number 6 of America as a government. And what we're seeing right now is it seems like we're shifting. We might be moving, and people don't notice it because change in the Republic in the United States, kind of like France. I mean, it's not blood. Luckily, it hasn't.
What happened that fast?
Yeah, it's not like blood and executions and civil war or something dramatic that people think of as, oh, the end of one country and start of a new one or whatever. It's just little subtle changes, and it feels like we're going from the Sixth Republic to like whatever comes next, the seventh two-party arrangement in the U.S. And I don't know, it's horrible and messy, and it seems to be throwing Ukraine under the bus, so I really hate it. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully things will improve soon. And don't hope for it. Get out there and do something about it. If you are an American listening, work to make your country better, because that's the only way that it can. All right. Anyway, enough with my rant. Do we have anything else Ukraine specific that we want to jump to? Slavie, do you have anything news related?
Yeah. Let's see what we didn't cover. Because we kind of jumped all over the place. We didn't talk about that there was a prisoner exchange, which is fantastic, on July 4th, yesterday. Dozens of POWs returned to Ukraine. Thank God. Most had been captured from 2022. And this came days after another exchange under the Istanbul framework. So, yeah, I mean, Ukraine doesn't abandon its people, even while being abandoned by its allies.
Strong statement that I cannot disagree with.
Yep.
Yeah. Sadly, I've said it before, but it gives me a little bit of an embarrassed feeling coming from a supposed white First Nation, country and whatnot. And, we don't, as Canadians, we don't have the wealth that America does. And we try our best to do the right thing because it's kind of in our hearts as people, even our blue righties, but we can't fulfill that gap. We're just not capable. I wish we could.
Yeah.
Come on, Canada is not that far away from being as wealthy as America. Canada is comfortable.
Yeah. We're not. I joke that we have pesos or something. Not to make fun of Mexico. It's just I know that word well, right? Been there a few times. But we're not, in that spot. But God, the attitude of Canadians is that stupid orange-faced fucking toupee, fake hair wearing son of a bitch is trying to make us,
I think with Carney, I think if anything, he'll do great things for Canada and bring up its economy and doing deals with the EU. Like we kind of got into it before we started the live stream, and it's going to be a powerful, very powerful alliance.
Carney is a real money man, unlike Trump, who pretends to be. And you can literally see it in their interactions where, Carney will like literally tap him on the knee, like, shut up, Donald. Okay, the adults are talking now, and jump in and speak. And Donald doesn't get all pissed off because he knows that Carney is more of a man than Trump will ever be.
Yep, I agree with that statement 100%.
Oh yeah, Trump knows, man. Carney's got his number any day of the week, and that is the biggest reason why Canadians elected Carney, is because we knew that on the financial stage, Trump ain't got our guy. Our guy's got him, right?
Yep.
There was a huge amount that was gonna vote for, was it Poilievre?
Oh yeah,
For the
yeah,
right,
yeah, but that's that whole thing within white circles. The right are growing a bit, but as soon as the American right attacked Canada,
Right.
Poilievre, whatever his name is, there, he had no fucking chance. That was done.
Yeah.
Well,
I actually was surprised. I talked to family friends, Ukrainian family friends in Canada, in Toronto, and they were like, "No, we're still gonna vote for Poilievre." I'm like,
Yeah.
Do you not see what's happening
Yeah,
here?
yeah. Can
know,
I
it was
just point
wild.
out, you can tell Slavie's lived here because she said Toronto without the second T. Did you hear that?
Yep.
I may
I
not say
caught
the A
that.
anymore, but I say Toronto, right? Always Toronto girl. Shout out Toronto.
All right. Yeah, man. Yeah. Queen Street West was my favorite stomping ground in that town. Oh, I had a blast down there, hanging around the Elma Combo and the Bovine Sex Club, and oh, it was great.
You know, what's Calgary and Edmonton? I mean, I'm assuming at least one of them was probably really big on Poilievre, right? As opposed to Carney.
Oh, the way it works, it's kind of funny. If you look at Alberta, which is very right leaning, you've got this thing going on where you look in the city ridings and they start lighting up red. And it not so much Edmonton, which is more north, it's more rednecky, but Calgary, that's a little bit more south, and it's Cowtown. So you would think that, it's very, but there's quite a few lefties because, and so so this is the right voice and this is the left voice.
You're having fun with that thing, aren't you?
Too much so, apparently. I should probably stop.
Oh man. No, but yeah, Canada's been doing its part in helping Ukraine. Like I mentioned, a friend of mine was over there in Kiev, and she was there 16 hours nonstop, the siren going off while hundreds of missiles were dropping down on the city. And she's out there again. She's driving to, I won't say where, but several different places, doing the work she's doing, trying to help out. Canada puts its money where its mouth is when it counts. It's difficult. It's such a huge fucking war.
It's funny you say that because we drink a lot of beer and smoke a lot of pot, so we do put our money where our mouth is.
I hear you.
Canada has been, going way back. The first immigrants to Canada were Ukrainians in the 30s to work in the fields so I like to call it the middle Canada, and like Saskatchewan and stuff. And they really showed Canada how to do the farming and agriculture.
Oh, yeah.
And then Canada was there for Ukrainians to escape Soviet repression as well. And Canada is there now, but the only problem is they take a lot of Russians in as well. A lot.
Slavie, my area, one of the reasons that we have apple orchards is from Ukrainians that came over.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of deep-rooted Ukrainians that also preserve Ukrainian culture. When they left, like in the 30s, they preserved the culture because Soviet authorities, they erased that culture in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So that whole preservation, they brought it here, and I find how Canada kind of kept it alive and kept the culture and everything is, it's great.
Yeah. We've up and down the valley I live, you've got old school family Ukrainians that have little shops and things, and there's a couple of agricultural things and whatnot. There's a family, Slavie, just around the corner from me, and they share a deli with a Polish family and another group, and they have their own little thing inside. And you go in and you get Varianeki and all this, and it's just, and they love my son. They call me to let me know when there's fresh items going out so I can get over to get them and stuff. They're some of the greatest folk, and I've known them way since before the orc invasion of the sovereign lands of Ukraine. And
I gotta take a jab here at Poland food, though. No flavor. Sorry.
Well, I would think because of the no flavor, the Brits probably really like it. So here comes Dunk.
Dunk.
Ay.
Hey man, bangers and mash and some mashed peas. Some, you're good to go.
Oh, it's funny.
I know in Vancouver, there's some insane Ukrainian restaurants. Oh my! I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
Oh my!
All of Western Canada, as soon as you get past Alberta into British Columbia, there is this huge thing of Ukraine. We've got Ukrainian centers in our towns, like we have legions for our military and stuff. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a
So
lot.
what? You're being invaded?
Yeah, but very slowly. It's taking a long time.
I wonder, is there a lot of Russians too? Like
We get
Toronto,
Doukhobor
in Ontario,
communities.
It's a lot of Ukrainians, but there's twice as more Russians as well.
We have some Doukhobor communities that are very old school, and they don't seem to align with the modern Russian take on life in any way.
I know that in Canada specifically, in addition to there's a lot of Slavic people from different countries who over the last century and a half have made their way to Canada.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the oldest government in exile, or self-proclaimed government in exile in the world, is the Rada in exile of Belarus, and that's headquartered in Canada.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of Ukrainians, Belarusians. There are Russian, people descended.
We've got
Armenian,
just in my
from the Soviet states. That's pretty much everyone in Canada.
Just in my townhouse complex, we've got a Palestinian, an Iranian family, and a couple others, and all the kids just run around and play, and nobody gives a rat's ass. And we're just a great community that we all watch over each other's kids and try to help. And well,
they should move the United Nations to your place.
I'm not sure
where everybody just gets along.
Yeah, but who would claim that one naked child with the bad mother? It doesn't work.
Armenia.
No, you just say the kid's American.
That's funny. That's funny. That's the girl from Montana. Okay. We're on for 2 hours. I'm not in a rush yet. Slavie, how you doing?
I do have to go soon. But
Okay. So let's get some shout outs done because we got a couple things here. Jerry Stander in the chat there dropped $30 in our donor wall for the Car for Ukraine fundraiser. Big shout out. We also had a second one just underneath it. It's very much anonymous. So thank you for 20 euros. And then we have Jean-Marc Latiker in, of course. And let me just, because I don't want to make you all sick by scrolling too fast. If I scroll back up, we're at 831 euros and counting. So let's see if we can't get that just a little bit higher before we go, shall we?
Dick, I'm a little disappointed. You're Canadian. It's not anonymous. It's anonymous.
Anonymous. Okay, that's I will say that from now on. But huge shout outs, everybody. Thank you very much. If I look over our other sources of support and income, I think we're caught up. So other than the anonymously great shout out that came in at the end there, I think we're all right. Any catch ups we got to do over your way there, Slavie, before we're good?
None here, but I do appreciate everyone checking out the live stream on Channel Yarochenko. Thank you guys so much for your weekly support. Don't forget to check out my new video that dropped today. If you liked our conversation here, this was not planned, but yeah, the video dropped. I pinned it at the top of the chat, so check it out. It's called "Is Truth Dead?" It's basically I'm not gonna get too much into it, but just take a look at it. Self-explanatory. I do talk about the MAGA narratives and everything because it comes from Russia. All of this that we're experiencing is from Russia.
There's so much of it that's traceable back to the churning foundry of bullshit that is really trying to take control of the narrative. And you can see it everywhere, can't you?
Yep. I also have an e-guidebook coming out hopefully this week called The Truth Tactic. It's basically about how to just destroy disinfo without losing your mind. So yeah, look out for it this week. I've been working really hard on it, but hopefully it's my way of giving back to you guys a little bit, piece of my brain, if you will.
Cool. Good shout. I like that very much. Okay, so we're 2:10 in. We are somewhat caught up. I got a shout out here. Oh, look at that. UTV and Ham in the chat. Slavie, Ukraine. You know what that means, right? You know, Slavie, Ukraine has a subtext now. It means donate to help kill an orc or two. Yeah. Thanks, UTV. Good shout. Slavie, what do you think? Should we go around the table and say our goodbyes and sign off for another show?
Absolutely. Let's start with Dunk. Any final thoughts that you like to leave our audience with?
Nothing to do with this show, but yeah, so I'll leave you to it. No, I've just been fascinating listening to you lot gabble on, or just endlessly just yakking on about something or other. I don't know, but yeah, so I just left you to it. Quite frankly, there's no point in me jumping in and being snarky all the time. But yeah, so Slavie, Ukraine, everyone, and all that kind of shit. I was just messaging you. Should we post a Shills live?
I'm doing it right now, actually. So why don't we get everybody to slide over? Let me get this done here. Yeah. Oh, shit. Okay. I fucked it up. So sorry. I'll shut up now and then you try again.
Yeah. So while Dick continues to fuck things up, we'll set up a little pub chat over to our sister channel, Shills Live, where you can carry on this conversation or carry on with a ridiculously conversation about, why do they put holes in a donut anyway? I don't know. And, stuff like that. Important stuff.
I know the answer
You can make Timbits out of the donut holes. Canadians don't know what this is.
Hey, I always eat the hole first.
We'll set the show for the pub chat on Shills Live to go at 1:45. So 4:45 Pacific. See you there, everybody. That should work. Oh my God, YouTube. Okay, it worked. Okay, we're good. So I can give the link to the mod team, and then they can share it out to you all, so you can hang out with us a bit more.
Yeah,
good show.
Because why not? It's a Saturday night.
Saturday night's all right for shilling. Get a little action in.
Saturday night at the movies, like anybody still goes to the movies anymore. But anyway, sorry, Slavie, I'll shut up now.
Oh, it's okay. Well, let's Sakai, do you have any final thoughts on that you'd like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, just keep doing what you do, everybody. Please continue to support Ukraine. Wherever you are, whichever country, call your elected representatives and impress upon them the importance of additional humanitarian and military support to Ukraine. You know, keep coming back to this stream, other pro-Ukraine streams, find other ways to get involved, including off of YouTube. It's important to be here. It's also important to be involved in any other ways that you can find that are helpful. And yeah, just thanks for being awesome, and Slava Ukraini.
Can I point out how Canadian this guy is? He didn't even shill his own fucking channel. Tridents Against Tyrants. Go check it out.
Oh yeah, and we've got a new fundraiser for 3D printers to print FPV drone parts. So I'll put that in a post on the channel that you guys can see later tonight.
All right.
Thanks so much. Kanti, would you like to say your final thoughts?
That's a strangely way to put it for me right now. I've actually been up well over 24 hours now.
Ooh.
Normal day yesterday. Basically on the computer all night, working with some of my students I shouldn't say students, language buddies in Ukraine.
Cool.
If I can plug them a little bit, I am volunteering for a group called Engine, engineprogram.org. They're looking for native English speakers to have practice sessions with Ukrainians trying to improve their English.
Oh. Do they need people that speak primarily slang but do actually understand English? Because I could help.
Yes, because a lot of what Ukrainians have problems with is slang and phrasal verbs, and phrasal verbs are basically slang.
Yeah, Dickie said English, not gibberish.
Yeah. If I can make them understand me, dude, we're really on to something. Maybe we should chat.
Yeah, they're always looking for people. There's so many more people in Ukraine trying to improve their English, and it costs so much in Ukraine to hire somebody to practice English with.
Really?
Yeah, it's about $10 an hour. US to practice with.
Can I just jump in really quick? Sorry, Canty, but this is worth it. Trust me. How many people in the live chat right now would donate a few hours a week to help Ukrainians with better English? I want to see a 1 in the chat for a yes, and don't fucking answer me unless your answer is yes. So
it's just a new show, Ukrainian Pub Chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put the link in the chat for us. If you want to share it out on
Canty, send it to me as soon as we're done. I'll put it in the description as well to make sure it's there for the long term.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Kanti. It's fantastic what you're doing. To everyone on the panel, thank you so much for helping Ukraine. Thank you to all our mods on both of the channels, the Shills and Yarochenko channel. To every single one of you who showed up, not to just watch, but to witness, to speak truth, to stand your ground. Because what we're fighting here isn't just propaganda, it's apathy, it's silence, it's the slow erasure of a people who dare to want freedom. Ukraine is being bombed and blamed for trying to survive. And still it stands for all of our freedom. But no nation can stand alone forever. So if this broke your heart, what happened on July 4th, don't just feel something, do something. Please call your representatives, support Ukraine, support the voices that keep telling the truth, even when the world would rather look away. We are backed by you. So the people who still believe in freedom is worth fighting for. Like, subscribe, share, donate if you can. Thank you so much to the ones that donated. And because this isn't just a live stream, this is a lifeline. And every time you show up here, you help carry Ukraine a little further through the fire. So on that note, God bless the ones who stand for freedom and democracy. And Slava Ukraine.
Heroam Slava.
Herojem
Take-
Slava.
Take care, everybody. Thanks to all our supporters, donators. Remember, check for Kari for Ukraine in the live chat, in the description as well. Your donations help there like you have no idea. These people are working their ass off to supply medevac, troop transport, rocket trucks, the whole 9 yards. It's seriously important. And every little thing you do helps.
Yeah, so go and put some shitty reviews of Moscow on TripAdvisor.
Well done. You know, I want to see TripAdvisor reviews that say, I was in Moscow and until I saw that drone invasion, it was a really boring place to be.
I want to see reviews that say the giant flaming eye made me really uncomfortable.
It's actually Russia's soft power. Like when you see those like top 10 places to travel to in the world post,
Yeah.
and you see Moscow on there, that's Russia's soft power trying to, you know, amp up their culture. So please do destroy that.
Exactly.
Tell the
Destroy
truth.
it all until Russia is carved up like the Middle East was after World War I. Nobody's safe. That's the end game as far as I'm concerned. Slavie Ukraine.
Herojem Slava.
Herojem Slava.
Well said.
It's over. Go home. Go.